Well, joining me now to discuss this in the studio is the general practitioner, Dr. Bhasha Mukherjee, as well as my panel, GB News' senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson, as well as Gawain Towler, the former Reform UK spokesman. Dr. Mukherjee, let's start with you. When you look at the naked truth here, there must be BAME candidates on shortlists. You have to justify hiring white British candidates, and a tiebreaker, a toss of the coin. If there's an ethnic minority and a white person, the job will be given to the ethnic minority. Do you think that's racist?
That is racist. And it goes against the fundamentals of the NHS, which is about patient care and quality of care. And as a patient myself, I mean, I know I'm a doctor myself, but by all means, I pay taxes, and you all do as well. We want to get the best quality people serving us. We don't want to be paying money towards some sort of diversity hire just to tick a box. That doesn't serve the purpose.
It's also worthwhile looking at the actual data of NHS staff versus the population. The NHS is already an incredibly diverse hire. In fact, it hires more than the population base. Let's go through it. The staff of the NHS is 74% white versus 80% of the population. So less white people in the NHS versus the population. 12.5% of the NHS staff block is Asian versus 10% of the population. 25% more Asian hires than the population. Black people, it's even better. 7.4% staff versus 4.4% of the population. Almost twice as likely to be hired by the NHS if you're black. It's already diverse. Why do they need these rules?
Exactly. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I don't think I would want to be, and I'm a person of colour myself, I don't think I would want to be a diversity hire. I think it's a bit of an insult, really, to think that of all the things I had to offer, the only thing that I have no control over, my skin colour, is what got me the job.
Why is it that positive action is the new buzz phrase for this? Is that just a fancy word for rigging the game against white people?
Honestly, I don't know. I think we definitely are very much in a PC culture, and I think this is another example of that, really. Ultimately, this whole diversity quota thing, it doesn't make any sense to me, because it makes sense in some areas where there are more ethnically diverse demographics, essentially, and essentially if there's a staff member who can speak a different language, that would be something they're adding extra, perhaps. But it doesn't make sense if there's somebody who's more qualified and you just make it through just because of your skin colour. That makes no sense to me.
Okay, please stick with us. We'll bring my panel in now. Nigel Nelson, I'll come to you first. Bhasha there quite clearly states she doesn't want to be a token diversity hire. The best people should get the job on merit. The NHS is often called woke, but do you think it's now racist?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is, if there is positive discrimination going on, that's illegal. So
well,
yes,
there is.
Well, hang on.
Candidates,
no,
and I mean, gets the job if they're equally qualified.
What I mean is that are we confusing here positive action with positive discrimination?
What's the difference? Seriously, what's the difference?
Positive action is encouraging people from ethnic minorities to apply for jobs.
That's not what they're saying.
And then helping them along the way with mentoring.
That isn't positive
That's
action.
not what they're saying.
No, well, I mean,
if it were the case, you'd be right, but you're wrong.
But any hospital which is doing what is suggested here is acting illegally, and obviously the law will then apply to them, and they will have to stop. Well, obviously.
Do you think there's a cat's chance in hell of these NHS trusts being pursued by the law, by their own reckoning, rigging the game in favour of... You're shaking your head there. You work in the system. There's no chance at all, is there, of these people being pursued by the law?
Oh, I think the law has other, places to focus on at the moment, by all means. I do think representation is important, and this is as somebody who's faced discrimination. And as someone of colour, sometimes I'm confused. Am I being discriminated because I'm a woman, because I'm a person of colour, because I'm a junior doctor in a team of people who are clearly more senior than me? Is it an ageism thing? So I do think representation is important, and I've definitely been in teams where, the lack of representation has been palpable. However, I think, again, we're talking about getting into the root cause analysis, why in some areas where there are more white people as compared to people of colour, why is it the case? Is it because perhaps people of colour don't feel comfortable to infiltrate those positions?
Or is it because people specialise in different things?
Well, that could be the case.
People choose to specialise in certain areas
and that's
of
about
medicine.
educating and actually asking the question, asking people of colour why they prefer to be in certain areas versus other areas.
Possibly.
But if you were going for a job and it ended up that you were against an equally qualified white applicant, would you object to, on the tie-break system, getting that job?
I 100% would. But however...
Well, how else do you do it? Do you just toss a coin and decide which one of you has it?
It's a tie-break, yes.
If you're both qualified for the job, at the moment, the idea would be that someone from an ethnic minority would get the job over a white person.
Why, given the statistics
it's
we already
really
have?
difficult.
How else do you do it?
Given the statistics we have,
But how else do you do it? Do you toss a coin?
It's really difficult to two exact people who are
guys,
exactly
one at a time.
qualified the same, isn't it?
OK, Gawain Taylor, let's quickly go to you. The RAF was found guilty in courts of law for discriminating against white people. Is it time to take the same legal action against NHS?
Well, we've also got West Yorkshire Police doing exactly the same thing this week, in the last 7 days. This has become endemic across all public sector aspects of our society. This is the norm now. We shouldn't be shocked. We should just go, well, yeah, again. And there has to be a complete rejig of the whole process.
What does that look like? Scrap the Equality Act?
In the end, yes, I think we have to. No, there have to be safeguards, absolutely. But the Equality Act is, in many ways, the root cause of a lot of this. When going back to this particular case, especially...
It's also about equity, though, isn't it?
No, it should never be about equity. Equity is rubbish. It's about equality. But the point being is that the NHS is about outcomes. It's about patient care. That is the only driver that matters. The only one. Free at the point of delivery, best outcomes we can manage. And this process will not provide that.
That is not changed by this, though.
Yes, it is.
It isn't
if you're
changed
getting
by
people
this.
who are not as good doing the job...
that's the point, but you're
that's
not
the whole point
in that situation.
It's not, it wasn't just even... They're not just talking about the tie-break. They're talking about there must be people on the board. There must be this. Well, we won't even recruit somebody now because we can't find somebody from an ethnic minority.
OK.
This is wrong.
Gentlemen, final word to Bhasha. Bhasha, do you think this is now just a complete distraction and we should get back to focusing on outcome and patient care? All this kind of political correctness stuff, it's just getting in the way.
I agree. It probably is getting in the way and is definitely diverting the attention from more pressing matters. But if we are to move forward from this, if we're talking about discrimination, take the human element out of it. Get AI to screen CVs. Take the, even if we're saying race is a factor, take the race category out of the picture. And if we're saying even the name can be sometimes racially inclined to some degree, take the name away. Why do you need a person's name to be reading their qualifications or deciding if they should get the job?
OK, fantastic stuff. Thank you very much, Bhasha Mukherjee, and, of course, Gawain Taylor and Nigel Nelson.